Good day, everyone. This is Jason Santos, and for today, we are going to continue the discussion of economic statistics. So let's get started. Definitions and classifications, the economic systems, economic agents, and branches of Philippine government. So, first off, let's start this discussion with a quotation, which is economic systems are not value free columns of numbers based on rules and reason, but ways of expressing what varying societies believe is important, according to Gloria Steinem. This is true, and we are going to uncover the reason as to why. And let me underscore the topic of economic system all throughout this discussion. When you talk of economic system, several things would come into mind, like traditional economics, wherein people rely on hunting, fishing, agriculture, and the like. And then you also have commercial or marketing economic systems, wherein people control um, the distribution of goods, what goods should be bought and sold, um, what goods should the country produce, what's in demand and what's not. And then there are economic systems which are totally reliant on government, which is similar to what's happening to North Korea. The government is 100% in control of the supplies and the things that will be used, such as the resources and all. Now, when you talk of economic system, there is what you call an economic process, which refers to activities uh, wherein goods and services are aimed at satisfying human needs, are produced, distributed, and used. So inside an economic system, there are processes that needs to happen, and there are actually economic agents or players which are involved in a certain economic system. So an economic system is in charge of an enterprise production of machinery used to produce other goods, or even the writing of a book for economic statistics. So an economic agent refers to a person or legal entity that plays an active role in an economic process. So earlier we mentioned the economic process, and in that process are several economic agents that are making this possible. So an economic agent can therefore be an individual, a consumer who purchases goods and services, an enterprise that organizes and generates the income. So it could be an enterprise, it could be household consumer, and actually governments. So in an economic system, all the agents must participate, like what we have mentioned. And then the economic system is not only characterized by the physical or technological factors that determine how its production is oriented. For example, mainly towards agriculture industry, but also by cultural and institutional factors that regulate how it functions, such as laws and regulations. So the the decision on what economic system will be followed is actually influenced by culture, laws, regulations, and many things. Um, well, to point out a certain fact, majority of the countries are following mixed economies. They are following traditional plus consumerism or um, market driven economic system. So there are actually very few countries who are using one economic system. So and that system is based from a lot of factors that we have mentioned again, such as culture, laws, regulation, and all. So the characteristics of an economic system are also important because they can influence the quality of the statistics that will be drawn. Like for example, if the country is characterized by the presence of only few large enterprises. Then, by rule of thumb, it should be just simple or easy to collect statistical data. However, when the economic system is composed of a myriad of small enterprises, or it means there are many small enterprises, it will be very difficult or time consuming to do that. So, to emphasize it, if there are a lot of large underground unobserved economies, it's going to be very hard for the country to implement tax regulations because they are unobserved, they are under the radar, and these activities are not monitored or aren't really monitored by the government. So getting statistical data can be very challenging. Now, when you talk of economic agents, there are three main players or main characters, should we call it. So, the first one would be the households, second would be enterprise, and the third one would be general government. So, let's look at these economic agents one by one. Okay? So, when you say household, it consists of a small group of people sharing the same living accommodation. So you're talking of people in the same household, right? And then all of their income are gathered together or pooled together in one collective wealth, which is used for purchasing goods, services, and maintaining that household. Now, that household can be bound by marriage, ties of family relationship, affinity, adoption, guardianship, or ties of affection. And they reside in the same municipality, or sometimes even if they are not in the same municipality, because that's the culture or norm in the Philippines. We are very hospitable, not just to strangers and visitors, but more so to our relatives. That's why even if our relative is from another city, let's say they are from Makati and then they decide to stay in Bulacan for whatever reason it is, we let them sometimes for longer periods, right? So in such manner they are being counted in our household because they are staying there. They are eating there, sleeping there, making all of their expenses in the same household. So in the Philippines, 16.6 of population lives below the national poverty line as of 2018. And although this is a sad fact, this gives us an idea what is the economic scale or the status of the entire country as a whole. So, for example, these 16.6% of people are living less on a budget of less than 241 pesos per day. So can you imagine that? How hard and challenging is that? Let's say that family is comprised of five or more members, and then they would have to live a certain day for only 241 pesos. That involves their meals for their breakfast, their lunch, their dinner, and they wouldn't have room to pay for more expenses like to pay for education, electricity, water, and other types of expenditures. So it's really hard, and that's alarming at some point because, again, households are economic agents, and then households are miniature versions of the country. So what you see in the household reflects or reflects the amplified version of it, which is Philippines as a whole. So um, like what we have mentioned, I would like to underscore the third part, which is that the reference person in a household is the one who is the breadwinner, or let's say the father. Now, whatever is the salary or the earning capacity of the father reflects the totality of the household. He will be the what you call as reference person, and household is now classified not only by the number of members but the labor market status of the reference person. So you see, that's how important this economic agent is, the households. Now, the second economic agent would be the enterprise. Now, enterprise in the strictest sense refers to the organization of an economic activity on a professional basis for purposes of producing goods, providing services intended for sale. And then enterprises can operate in all sectors of economy activity, such as agriculture, industry, or services. So, to put it simply, the enterprises are in charge of putting out the goods, distributing it, making sure that the people have all the um, products and services that they can use, not just to live, but to for pleasure, for entertainment, and many other things. Now, in return, the enterprises get the the money or the wealth being spent by households or the first economic agents, and then they use this money to grow their enterprise. And it's a cycle, to be honest. The household spends, the enterprise gets the cash or the money to grow the business, and then gives it back to its households or consumers by putting out good products through corporate social responsibility and what have you. Now, what for the Philippines, you can actually get the data of what type of enterprises are available, and you can get this in psa.gov.ph under the Philippine Standard Industrial Classification or PSIC. Just to give you a quick idea, what are its relevance, importance, and what have you. It serves as a framework for data collection. So you need all countries need to have some sort of industrial classifications, right? It's like a checklist of our resources. And it provides an effective mechanism for the integration of large numbers of statistics. And then it serves as a basis in the construction of input output table. So here are some of the industries that are available in the country. We have agriculture, fishing, mining, manufacturing. You can see a lot of manufacturing diversifications, right? So on the other side, we have electricity, construction, wholesale, hotels, transport, financial, intermediation, and many more. So lastly, we now go to the general government. So when you talk of the general government, these are all institutional units that produce non-market goods and services. And all institutional units whose main function is to redistribute the country's income and wealth. We can call the government as our wealth safekeeper. All right, so they are in charge of making sure that the money or the wealth of the country is spent wisely, like spent for infrastructure, the capacity building, so on and so forth. So in particular, the institutional sector of government is subdivided into the following subsectors. The first one, you have central government, which includes all administrative bodies of the central state and the other central bodies whose authority normally extends to the entire economic territory, except for central social security funds. And the next, you have local government. So when you talk of local government, these are your LGUs, local government units, your barangay, your city officials, and what have you. And the last or the third one is social security funds. So, of course, this is very much necessary, right? Includes all central, state, and local institutional units whose main activity consists of granting social benefits. Of course, in a country, you have to make sure that your economic agents, such as households, right, the people, are kept safely, or they have some sort of a safety net, right? Because there will come a time when certain workforces will no longer be capable of working, like you have your population which are elderly, right, retirees, those with disabilities, what have you. You can't just, you know, let go of these people, right? We have to make sure that they are taken care of as well. So that's where the social security funds come in. And in the Philippines, these are the three branches of our government. So you have the legislative, they are in charge of crafting, conceptualizing, and then making the law, passing it. And then it is carried out to the second branch, which is the executive, from the term itself, to execute, to put it in its proper place. Um, and then, of course, here you will see the officials, such as the president, the vice president, and the cabinet members. And then finally, you have the judicial side of the government, which evaluates whether is the law is just working properly, serves its purpose, and the like. Now that wraps up our discussion for today. I hope you have learned something. And as always, please follow me on all the social media platforms I am in, such as YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And thank you so much for watching this video. To God be all the glory. See you on the next video.